right, let's do this one more time. I'm Artis. We have Hot Legs, the virtual celebrity, and Muffin here. We're just going to give our thoughts on Mastermind and Sinsmas because, dear Lord, no one will leave me alone about this.
What would be a good starting point? Just at like the very beginning?
Bella.
Yeah, quick summary of the episode. Basically, it's just it was a courtroom episode of Blitz being wrongfully rightfully accused about stealing the grimoire. He was going to die for it. All of IMP was going to get punished, but only he decided to take the rep because he didn't want the others to get dragged down. And Stolas, by some miracle chance, saw it channel flipping, stepped in to take the fault for him without, completely explaining entire details of what he did, but whatever. Essentially saving him, gets banished and stripped of his powers for the next 100 years. And sad cliffhanger, Blitz is also thankful for him saving his life. Kissed him at the end on the cheek. And that's my summary of Mastermind.
Charitable.
Yeah, I mean, okay. I liked how the episode started because this is also why I don't like when people say, "Oh, the IMP plot would have gotten old." No, like it literally started with them possibly hiring interns. Like that would have been an interesting episode idea. I would have liked that. And then they just get interrupted with like the demon police or something, taking them into custody. And oh my gosh, it's too bad. If only they could have escaped. If only Blitz had like some sort of like device attached to him at all times right now to like escape to the human world. Jeez, too bad he didn't fucking use it.
Oh, I didn't realize that until you just pointed that out.
I wish they didn't even acknowledge it or explain why he didn't use it. Like if it was like if he tried to use it, and it was like, oh, they're jamming like osmodium crystal signals. But in the trial,
Yeah, I thought something like that too.
I wish Osmodius really said something because like he knows of a bit of what's been going on between those two, and he knows it's been an affair. And like the crystal is registered in Blitz's name now. Like he didn't have jurisdiction to access the human world when he had the grimoire, but he doesn't have the grimoire right now. It's with Stolas. And so what's the point? I feel like we're so late game for having a courtroom like this when he didn't even have the damn book.
I think the story was trying to point a thing of, all of Blitz's actions finally caught up with him. But it was like, unfortunately, this was the one time where he's kind of innocent, in quotation marks. But it's like, no, the plot's got a plot. So here we are.
I don't like it.
Yeah, it's weak. It's we just have to admit it's weak, but it's a plot device to get us from point A to point B, and there would have been smoother ways to do it. Like literally, like you said, if Asmodeus had just spoken up, or if it was like a scene where he tried to open a portal but it doesn't open, miles better.
I still don't really understand, like, what do you call it? Like, I thought the trial was going to be the like crap about like Stolas and Blitz getting flirty, unless that's what it was about. But like, I don't really understand the double standard of like, you have Beelzebub sitting right there and her ass is dating what would be like a common folk or whatever, and no one
It
says
was
shit
pretty.
about that. No one says anything about that, but God forbid it's an imp. Disgusting. Disgusting.
Because of how Andrelphus framed it, like, oh, this imp was forcing himself onto Stolas, and he even stole from him. Oh, how terrible! Making
Jesus.
Let me ask the room this one question. How do we feel about Andrelphus framing Blitz's actions as sexual assault, and how do you think that was handled? I'm just curious.
It's so ass backwards, but I'm not surprised considering like no one acknowledges that it's really Stolas that initiated all this shit and actually attacked him. At least that's how I view it. Like Stolas is the one that like put advances on him all the fucking time, and Blitz either goes ill or he just looks disgusted. and I'm supposed to believe that, like, in general, that, like, it's an equal relationship. No,
And
No,
I
well,
just
we're talking about Androphis accusation, like how that was
yeah.
handled, how somebody from a lower setting, the, mostly how they get accused nowadays is of an act that they themselves are kind of like the victim of. Because yeah, when somebody sees the circus and how Blitz broke into the palace to get the book and then tied up Stolas and then like slept with him out of pity, an evil person can misconstrue that as Androphis did, and I thought that, oh, that's a nice callback, even though the majority of their interaction has been more Stolas forcing himself on Blitz. The
Mhm.
first interaction was what Androphis took and then just painted Blitz in a bad light.
hmm it's kind of like the equivalent of when um darker skinned men get falsely accused of sleeping with sometimes often and not white women, and it's the white women that throw them under the bus when it was a
Mm-hmm.
consensual thing, but it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
It's just to save face from them. That's just kind of what it reminded me of like Andrelphus' accusation, and it just made me so mad because his plan makes no sense. Because if he knew what ringing out Blitz to think that Stolas will come to save him, that's like a big gamble because Stolas like was flipping through channels and he just so happened to see it. Like, what if he was like reading his book out in the patio or something?
I like to think Androphis thinks he's smart, but he's not that much smarter than Stella.
Oh, literally, they both
Because even
right.
even if Blitz died, maybe he thought, oh, Stolas would be so distraught and like confess, and then he's like he killed two birds with one stone. He got the person who, quote unquote, got his brother-in-law to cheat on his sister dead, and the brother-in-law like confessed out of grief. But Stolas showing up, he was like, well, this works out for me, I guess. And again, it's just a fucking kangaroo court. Like everybody, nobody even wants to hear Blitz out. I think that was kind of portrayed well. Again, as somebody from
Mm-hmm.
my background, where you have people in power that are not even willing to listen to you whatsoever. And the frustrating thing of it has to be somebody on their level or from their class to speak. Because people like to say, oh, Stolas uses his white girl tears. And ironically, it's the white girl tears that saved Blitz's life.
Yeah,
Yes,
It's frustrating.
he's finally used his privilege to like help in betterment his little imp toy. That's so wonderful.
they're
I,
romantic. Like,
I just need Androphis and Stella to fall. Like, they're the next two people that I just want to see get beaten into the dirt.
I'm just not surprised, but I'm disappointed with the direction they went with them. Of how, like, just so straightforward evil they are. They're like I just don't understand. Like, especially the scene where like Stolas was trying to call Octavia. She like still like can you like at least hide it a little bit? You know,
I I like
little.
I like to think that from Via's perspective, there's still probably some stuff she's not aware of when it
Yeah,
comes to her family's like whole MO. Because I don't think she's aware that like her mother has been like mistreating her father for so long. I like to interpret it that like Via is just watching her mom get her lick back and just loudly bragging like, "Ha, screw off, Stolas. That's what you get for cheating on me."
I guess so.
I will respectfully not say anything about Via in this video because there are sniper
Fight
rifles
me.
pointed at my head.
Fight me, bitch.
No.
Fight me. You are wrong. Via is the victim.
It's
Absolutely not. I've already said my piece, but it's so frustrating because, yes, if I want to be charitable because this is a discussion, I can be civil, unlike the people in my comments, where, yes, you can argue
hmm
that Via is so sheltered, she cannot even see what her parents are going through, and Stella and Stolas' interactions have made her think, oh, this is normal, because a lot of rich kids are fucked up in that way that they don't know what a healthy interaction between two individuals are. But also she has access to the internet and TVs. She should be able to see that how her mother acts to her father is not okay. And yes, Stolas is a dickhead for not sitting Octavia down and explaining things to her. But at the end of the day, the narrative of the story is that Octavia has willingly chosen the parent who doesn't give a shit about her over the one that does. So I hope she enjoys being lonely with her mother and her uncle as they ignore her in her big castle while she shuts the front door on her dad that is begging and pleading to talk to her. Does she have a right to do so? Yes. But again, enjoy loneliness because Stella is not going to wipe your tears. Stolas would have.
She might not be the best parent, but at least she's present. At least she's around.
Like she's around to like come
Allegedly.
by. Sometimes they pass each other in the hallway.
She knows
But
where
Even
she is.
I guess
even as I think somebody pointed this out in my comments that Stella doesn't even know Octavia's whereabouts because she was able to leave the house and go to Blitz's office and come back, and Stella probably didn't even know any of that occurred.
Stella's didn't know Octavia ran off with to find the grimoire to see the stars and they literally had to like try to track her down.
Yeah.
What?
The moment Stolas found out, he tried to find her. He got distracted by shenanigans, but I'm pretty sure Stella didn't even know she was missing that afternoon.
Distracted. She calls that distracted.
not just being a
Just,
horn
just,
dog.
just a little side quest.
Oh my god, find
I
your
gotta flirt with
daughter.
my boyfriend. I gotta flirt with my boyfriend first and put on a play.
I do hope that now that Stolas is with, I feel like that moment at the end where Stolas saw Blitz hug Luna, I feel like that was a light bulb moment for him. And I hope that
Mm-hmm.
gets addressed where he's like, okay, he thinks he's the best dad ever. And to me, he is. You're doing great, bestie. But improvements, we can improve. Learn how to be a better dad from Blitz because no matter how much Luna kicks this man in the balls, he's still there for her. So channel that energy.
Mm.
I don't necessarily agree with the fact that Octavia couldn't recognize what her parents are going through from my perspective. Because when, from my understanding of what Octavia has been raised, she was at the beginning under the impression that her parents did love each other at one point, and currently the process of what's going on now is
The
more
story
of
did a shit job at conveying that. But
the,
continue.
but it's trying to, at least,
Mm-hmm.
is that there is currently a falling out that she doesn't necessarily, she only can recognize as what Stella has been saying, which is he did cheat, because that is the one thing that's been set down.
Yeah,
And
that's a fact.
yeah, that's a fact. She knows that for a fact that Stolas did cheat. That is like the
And
one
after
thing
the
that we know.
cheating, that's when everything started to crumble in
Yeah,
her eyes.
in her eyes. And from what we can tell through her eyes, from at least what the show gives us, it's more of Stella is rightfully upset with Stolas. And the fighting, though violent, is not good on her mental health either. And in her perspective, from what I can tell from how her behavior is, this is something that has been going on for at least a little while. She's numb to it. She doesn't have a reaction to it. She's only just annoyed that her parents are fighting and that she has just moved on from it because she's just so used to it.
Also, a
And
moody
that could have
teenager.
that, or it's not, I don't necessarily know if that's necessarily just like, oh, it's because she's just a moody teenager, or oh, this is because she's literally traumatized and this is how her mind has coped with the fact that her parents do not love
So I
each
mean,
other
the
and are
story is
not
trying
coping
to
with
make
it.
you think, oh, she's a moody teenager, but it's like, no, where does the moody teenagerness start and where does the being fed up with her parents fighting ends? Again, one criticism I 100% accept is that the show kind of fumbled Octavia's writing because again, how I interpreted things is clearly very different from how everyone else interprets it. But
Yeah,
again, that's just how my brain works.
set
Right.
down that you are allowed to have like a different opinion on Octavia. You do not have to like her. I personally like her, but you don't have to like her.
The thing is, I like her. I'm just disappointed, if that makes sense.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
I can understand. That's like that's a lot of things with characters in this show. I like
Oh.
this idea. I like what's going on. I'm just disappointed. That's like me with everything about this show.
That's a lot of people with Stolas. Well, that's being charitable. Some people don't like Stolas, but they're still disappointed.
I hate him, but I'm also just
Uh,
disappointed because he could be better. Like a lot
Another
better.
little Easter egg from the artist of the show. Stella has never held Octavia in any of their portraits, but Stolas has in almost all of them. And whenever a picture with Stolas, Stella, and Octavia are all together, Stolas, I forgot, was like Stella looks upset because she doesn't like that Stolas is happy. But when it's a portrait with just Stella and Stolas, Stella looks very happy, but Stolas looks very uncomfortable because she's deriving joy in making him so uncomfortable. And I was like, that's actually a genius thing. I wish it was pointed out in the show.
I really wish that the narrative didn't have to be shown that way to get the point across with it all through these pictures. I feel like that's so after the fact. Like we see Octavia happily celebrating a 13th birthday. We see just mainly Stolas being like giving her a little piggyback ride, being a father and holding her when she was a baby and such. Yeah, that's sweet and all. I just wish it was reinforced in the show.
Yeah, because in the show, all it's showing is that Stolas is a dickhead, Stella is dumb to several degrees, and Octavia, like, the story is almost making Octavia seem dumb because your mother hired a hit for your father right in front of you, but oh no, she had her headphones on. You know, oof.
This
It. eh.
It's really hit or miss with the subtlety that Vizzy Pop wants to show off in her show. Sometimes it can it can actually work, but a lot of the time those kinds of subtlety or ways of trying to show like more hints of things that have been happening in the past or what was going on between two characters is usually things that happen off screen and are things that are like just the portraits that we have to like scan and like decipher on our own when there are things that could easily be animated and shown by itself. Like we don't need to piece these together like a conspiracy theory. These
Yeah,
things
kind of
could
like
just be explored by itself, but she has priorities over things that we don't need. We don't need it. Show the actual interesting stuff, not Stolitz episode number 105.
I
think the
think I don't know if you guys have watched Steven Universe Future, but it was actually addressed in an episode and it was very clever for me where Sadie was dating, I think their name was Skeb, but it all happened in the background and Steven was just like, "Oh, when did this happen? I wasn't there." And I'm like, I think that's what Vivzy Pop, I don't know if she's trying to do it but doesn't know how to
Oh,
execute it.
the whole Steven only perspective.
Yeah, maybe she wants like a Blitz and Stolas only perspective, but in that case, you have to have characters do things behind the scene, and when we see them again, they've grown. But a lot of characters are kind of stagnant until we see them again. Or sorry, a better example is regular show where Rigby and Eileen just started dating out of
Mm-hmm.
nowhere. And they just found out. But if you were an avid fan of the show, you saw the hints, and the show made it very obvious.
Oh yes. Oh yes. It was setting it up in
I
the background.
I really like that you bring that up because I feel like the episode in Steven Universe is one of the best cases of being purposely like things happening off screen because the whole point of that episode is that Steven doesn't understand or was fully like
You're not
there
the
when
main character.
everybody was changing. And
Yeah.
that's why he became so overwhelmed and like upset because everything was changing, everything was happening without his inclusion, and he was afraid of that change. And the things being off screen and stuff was purposeful.
Yeah, so but in this case, I see a lot of things, especially with Sinsmas and Mastermind. Vivzy Pop had to go on her Twitter, well, Blue Skies now, to explain, oh, this eye roll that Asmodeus and B did was because Satan was bluffing, and I was like, I did not catch that whatsoever. Vivzy Pop, I thought your show was for the autistic. Why are you doing this to us?
I thought that eye roll thing just meant that Satan is boastful and like he is a wrath. He created. He's like the ringleader of wrath. I
Yeah,
imagine that, but
yeah.
like.
Yeah, but then she was like, "Oh, it was too subtle of a writing." I was like, 2 seconds to just make like B say bullshit. That's all it took.
I would something that like with Mastermind that really grinds that culminates the main issue I have when it comes to Helluva Boss's writing, that it wants to bring up these class divides and like and how harmful the lower class has been. Like Blitz's speech in that episode, he was not wrong, and like even way back in Full Moon, what he was saying to Stolas and how he felt like he was being treated like a little butler, and he wasn't wrong. And what I don't like is they never seem to punish the upper class, uh, or put them in the same place or degrade them as much as like with the lower class. It really just feels like
Isn't
the
that true to
show.
real life?
I mean, yeah, but it's like also frustrating as hell that like if you want me to get on board with a romance of a class divide, you have to have the high class guy realize that, oh, imps are people too. And I feel like that never effing happens, or it's just framed like it was even hard to enjoy watching the imps boo Stolas and throwing stuff at him, because it's framed as a way like we're supposed to feel bad for him. Like, no, I don't want to feel bad for him. I really
I
don't. He's
find
getting what
that
he deserves.
so fascinating
He's
because
getting what he
I
deserves.
think you are the one that even said it. I said, "Oh, so finally the Stolas haters are at peace," and the Stolas haters like, "Nah, nah, 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 bitch. I want him naked in the streets,
No,
drawn and quartered," and I'm like, "What?"
insert
I
Transformers one clip. I don't want him. I want him to die. I want him to
I
be
think
dragged in the streets and
I
then
think
Oh
die
my
what
god.
alone.
I think what um no, I get what you mean. I think what we're more looking for as a self-proclaimed Stolas hater myself, we're looking more for an actual like deeper consequence than just constantly being like, oh, he's going through this thing, but oh, he's so sad and he's so pathetic. Look at
It's
him.
so
He's
sad.
he's so sad. You gotta feel bad. No, I think what we're more looking for is what Blitz is kind of been going through the past few episodes, because though it's not perfect, it at least understands that Blitz is recognizing what he's done and what he's going through as, oh, I've been doing bad shit and I need to
Muppets for
change.
everything. I think season 2 was the drag blitz season, and I think season
Yeah.
3 will be the drag stola season, which
Oh god, I hope.
personally I'm not manifesting. He has suffered enough, Your Honor. He's on the
Your
floor. You
Your
can't kick a puppy
Honor.
while it's down.
No, Your
I just don't
Honor.
think there's
No.
anything that shows me that he recognizes that his mistreatment of Blitz and what he's been doing is like something that he needs to actually change, at least yet. Because for the most part of what we've gotten from the season finale is that he is just lackluster. He doesn't care about anything, which is fair. It's obvious that he already struggles with his own mental illnesses, and is obviously that's his way of coping with
I
this.
think I think that's
But
what made me break with Octavia. Like she could have thrown anything at Stolas, anything would have been valid, but her using his medication against him was literally the straw that broke the camel's back for me. And I don't know if that's a writing story or an Octavia problem, and I can't differentiate.
I do not like the usage of um his antidepressants being used as leverage against him, because that's like Octavia, though still a child, like is on the cusp of at least slightly knowing better. I just feel like her perspective on that, on the antidepressants, was like such a sad thing to see her character do.
Yeah, because it's like, okay, child 17, but statistically speaking, millennials and Gen Z were the most depressed generation, the most medicated generation. So it's wild to me that someone of Octavia's age bracket would do something like that.
And you needed these. Yeah, dude, everybody is kind of medicated nowadays. Like,
I mean, I think she just feels bad that, like, not that Stolas was using them, but using them because, like, he was miserable because he was, like, in that house with
with
Stella
Stella.
and Octavia. That, like,
No, yeah.
that she's also a source of, like, his misery, and that feel and as a child, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Feeling like
Well, one
understand
thing.
that.
feeling like a burden to your parent, like, no child wants to feel like that.
It's just more
Well, to
of
be fair, I was raised African. We were from frame one told you have a debt to us to pay.
damn. Um, that the usage of putting some of these medications against them is also pretty like circumstantial in the way
It's just
too,
shitty.
because it's shitty and it's also like that's something that Stolas, even if after getting out of that relationship with Stella, out of that house and being in something more stable, it's not going to magically fix him. And in fact, it can still probably prolong in him for a long time afterwards. Something that
I
Mhm.
he
just
has
like
to like work through and figure out himself. The medication is just what helps him. And who knows? He could have developed depression even if he wasn't in that marriage with Stella.
I just don't like the people in the comments that were like, well, this falling out with Octavia should teach Stolas that he shouldn't depend on the antidepressants and stop taking them. And I'm like, no, 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 no. That is not the lesson we are learning from this. Take your
No,
medication,
please
please.
take your
Because the
medication.
story does a good job of showing Stolas pre-medicated and not medicated. Because in Full Moon, yes, that was when he had his crash out, and then we see another one in Sinsmas. And then after he takes his medication, he's finally calmed down and he's like, yes, I did the right thing to save you. I accept everything that's happening to me. And I was like, thank God he's medicated. The chemicals are flowing correctly in his brain. So that's one thing I do appreciate the show for not backing down on. I would have still liked them to show Stolas taking the meds, but again, another subtle writing that thank God I picked up on that, okay, he took his
Mhm.
medication and now he's better.
Yeah, it's something I noticed. Even though Stolas in Apology Tour has literally said, and actually the hypocrisy is very strong, how he doesn't look down on Blitz, how he sacrificed so much
He's
to show
never
that
looked down on Blitz.
Never.
he
That
has he sacrificed so much to showcase how much he loves him, and here at the trial when he's saving Blitz throughout his whole song he's just insulting him in front of the court, and even during their soliloquy, like
Well, he
still
can
insulting
sell the
him.
lie.
Yeah, but what the whole I never look down on you and the whole I go out of my way to show my affection, and like this could have been a really great way of showing that like he did care, he does care. Like put your money where your mouth is. Quit trying to save
I
face.
get it. Like in the courtroom, say, oh, he's coming clean because he's fallen in
Yeah.
love with him. I don't think Satan would buy that. But that
I
would be
think
badass.
So it's like by the end of everything, Blitz caring this much, honestly, it just confirms my whole Stockholm theory of it all. This is like the worst adaptation of
Stop
Beauty and the
it.
Beast. No, it
Stop
is
it.
stop. You mean to tell me in Sinsmas, and this is a great way to switch gears, going more into Sinsmas. In Sinsmas, he acts like a damn puppy, crouched up and cuddling next to Stoke,
Oh,
like
I
a
love it.
mystery.
Oh, my heart was full.
Oh, I wanted to
Oh
gag.
my god.
Call me a hater. I don't know if this is me or just me being a fucking hater, but it just felt
no, I'm
so
on your
weird.
side.
It
I'm on
felt
your side.
weird,
Do you
right?
are you
I thought
people
it
allergic to love? They
I
love
I
each
don't
other
think
and now
I
they're
don't
I,
both
think
I,
it's
poor.
good
yeah.
love.
I
I don't think it's
disagree.
good
I
love that's the thing.
like,
It can I think that
it's
somebody can love each other and want to be with each other, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's good for one another. I
Oh,
think that Stolas and Blitz have gone through a lot with each other, and there are ways to mend that relationship. But throughout season one and season two, I have not been proven any point that these two could work out in a way that is actually meaningful and healthy. Because I've
Mm-hmm.
only
be
seen Stolas be still treat and look down on him as somebody who still is an imp. He can say as much as he is that he loves him, but there is still a problem with his classism that he has not gotten
Yeah,
rid of.
yeah. In
And
in
Blitz,
Sinsmas, they dialed that up to 11, and I just again I took it as, oh, he's not medicated, but he made so many classist jokes like, oh, fun is free, and I was like,
Stop
damn, slay
using
bestie.
excuses. Stop using excuses for this man. He can't keep getting away with it. He can't keep
Okay,
he
getting
can't
away
keep
to
with
be
it.
he's a
fair,
grown
he did
he's
make
a
a
grown
lot of
man with
classist
dick and
jokes.
balls.
So
He's a
you can
grown
Yeah.
see
man.
you can see like deep down in his mind, he does still feel like, oh yeah, I was bred to eat these things, to have this sort of lifestyle. And it's like,
Bitch, you eat
okay,
cereal. I've seen you eat cereal more than any other fancy schmancy food ever.
yeah, that was the show trying to suddenly make Stolas classist, and I was like, okay, this would have been nice to see throughout the season. But again, I don't know if they were trying to say his inner thoughts became outer thoughts as the episode continued. But one thing I love about Sinsmas across the board is like a lot of Stolas haters just stopped bullying him. They're like, ugh, it's not fun anymore. And I'm like, yes, leave him alone. Get bored.
Odd, because you know why? Because at every turn, when when even when Stolas finally admits, like, oh my gosh, what I did was so stupid, all for a fantasy. Like, yeah, that's great. I'm glad you realized that. Now say it in front of the people you've hurt. Stop telling your daughter, like, oh, I
Yes,
didn't have a choice. Let
fuck.
me
He
explain.
he
Like,
had
no, she
meltdowns to the
clearly doesn't
fucking
want to
Karen.
hear.
I was so irritating. Have that meltdown when Blitz is there or somebody like, no, it's the Karen that hears him admit, oh, it was a fantasy or whatever. Ugh.
Let it
Like
be
the
heard by
crazy part, you're
someone
so
who it
close.
matters.
I
Like,
just think somebody it's just like these things, a lot of these things that these characters both go through, Blitz and Stolas, need to be communicated to each other face to face. If they actually just talk things out, explain their perspectives, explain what they feel with each other and what they want change, maybe I'd be like, okay, this could possibly work out, but they don't do that. There is zero communication between them, and there's nothing for me to feel like that they even have chemistry to begin with other than sex. So
guys, let me say that I was taking down notes as I was rewatching for this, and something I noted, like, I'm just gonna read off my notes. It's the fact that Solus didn't even know that horses are Blitz's favorite animal is what makes me want to punch a wall. Because what do you mean you
Oh,
love him? He's your light, and yet you don't even know the bare bone basics of Blitz. Also,
that
Blitz
just
not
goes to
even.
show they know nothing about each other.
Yeah, they don't. That's why
yeah,
it's so awkward. It's so weird for it to be like as if they've all of this happening within the span of like less than a year too. The timeline's all over the place. So falling in
Okay, but can we
love,
agree on one thing? Can everyone just agree on one thing? Stolitz
what?
is just the poor man's Fizzazi or whatever they're called. Like I just they're just
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
poor version of them.
yes, I can
basically,
definitely agree.
yeah. I believe Fizarazi is purposely the foil of Stolitz because they're the relationship that their dynamic that actually worked out in the
That's the
end because
relationship we want the main couple to build to. And I think I'm even more pissed that I know of Fizz and Ozzy's relationship because it's like I kind of just want to focus on that story a bit more.
yeah,
Because artists can attest to this. I did not want
Mm-hmm.
Blitz and Stolas to end up together. We were both on the same page that
Mm-hmm.
they should not end up together. But Sinsmas did the impossible. It made me like Blitz. And I was like, you know what?
That's because Blitz has always been a likable little scamp. That's why I like how he's like rough and tumble and try to like literally picking himself up from his bootstraps. That's what
he
I
had to
liked
go
about Blitz.
he had to go through a redemption arc for me because at the beginning of the series I did not fucking like him, like at all. I did not like
I
him, but
this
season 2 is
like
what helped me like
Blitz was
look
just
at
so
him in a better
insufferable,
perspective.
and I like the asshole main character, but it had the Korra effect on me where it's like the story literally wants me to hate you, then have at it. But then Sinsmas made me go, oh my god, he's actually adorable. Because when he loves you with his whole heart, and I can't help but like that. Sue me.
No,
He's
yeah. I think it's just with my perspective on like Blitz, why I didn't like him was not because he was an asshole and he just like didn't have a lot of care for the people around him but himself and Luna. It was just more of his obnoxious assholery is like to the point that they were doing stuff like sexual assault jokes with him. And that was like
Jeez.
where I was like backing up, like, whoa, what kind of person
Mhm.
is this guy? I don't like that at all. That's where he leads to. Because like, yeah, you could say it's just jokes, that's just the show's humor, but
It's like
I don't
season
like
one.
that.
It's like season one was kind of be more of a Family Guy with a crude humor, and like if that's what it wanted to be, that's fine. But season two trying to
Yeah.
retcon so much of season one to trying to be more of a
Season
Bojack.
one Blitz was unhinged. Even though I hated him, I think like season one had a cohesion, and season two were like, we don't want you to hate our main characters. So they kind of like try to they put Blitz through his humiliation arc to get us who hated him to like him, which it didn't work. And they tried to do the same thing with Stolas, it didn't work. And now in the end of season two, you have people who are like, I don't like that they're together. And then there's me that was like, huh, they kind of nailed it because I'm an empath, unfortunately.
Mm. I will say though, I like the idea of like a holiday where the Hellborns are encouraged to enact their sins, their
Yeah.
birth sins. That's cool. That's cool. Also, like all the Hellhounds, it's just eating. Gluttony in this world is just seen as eating, and no one can tell me otherwise.
Man. But now, avoiding the elephant in the room, the baby.
Moxie and Millie were
Oh,
so. This is the
the
most I
baby.
loved them this season. They actually were so cute. I wish there was more of this, like in prior seasons. They were so
Oh my
cute.
god, I was so fucking scared of Sinsmas because on my Twitter when I first saw the gif of and Moxie fighting each other and going through
Mm-hmm.
that portal, my red flags immediately went up because I was so scared it was going to be another unhappy campers episode, and I was like, oh,
Mm.
oh, no, please, not again. But no, it was fine. It was fine.
Yeah, season
They
three,
were so
they have like
cute.
5 writers. I'm sorry, we all know
Oh
we
my
hate Ad
gosh.
for his writing of unhappy campers, but now that there's more writers, and the next season is gonna be the Millie and Moxie season, because we're done with Stolitz's bullshit. Those two are together. They can be poor in the background. Let's focus on the two imps and whatever the fuck is gonna happen with Millie and her baby. Because the fandom is so divided. There's team abortion and there's team motherhood. And I'm here like, I'm just gonna watch the chaos unfold.
I'm gonna
I'm more.
I'm gonna throw a controversial take in the ring. I actually liked Unhappy Campers, and yeah, it was uncomfortable with like the brother sister kind of jokes, but I saw it as it was dramatic irony that they knew they weren't related, but everyone else knew, and that was where the comedy came from. Not ew, brother sister make out.
Yeah.
But I'll also say I am team Millie miscarriage.
Oh my god, you're evil.
Miscarriage, miscarriage, miscarriage.
I
You want to be a drama, hell of a boss? Here's some drama. Here's an actual drama. How is she gonna cope with a miscarriage?
I'm
I
afraid
would
of her
actually
having.
cry.
I'm afraid of her having a child in general because, like, there was a point, I think somebody made a tweet saying that, like, they're gonna make Millie pregnant and then she's not gonna be, like, a prominent character in the show at all anymore, just to focus on the other male characters, which is what I'm afraid that they're gonna do. But
Even
I would
worse if
also,
she has a
Um,
boy.
yeah,
I
that,
pray it's twins, but I think the show now that she's pregnant is like normally I think when shows have pregnant characters is one of two things. Either the pregnant person becomes the main focus or they just disappear, like you said. And I don't think Vivzy Pop has to be self-aware enough to know that after being dragged for the first 2 seasons of her show for not giving Millie attention, her begging the fans to wait, Millie gets more attention, to only sideline her in season 3. She just wants to be burned at the stake at that point.
I'm pretty sure, like on like what was it, Threads, like
Mm-hmm.
Viv like actually responded to that complaint. They're like, no, like it was something along the lines of like, no, Millie gets enough spotlight. I don't know what you're talking about. So so I'm pretty sure she's gonna like just blur in the background. Her being pregnant really like kind of slapped me in the face. I wasn't expecting that. So I'm like, okay. But I think she'll be forgotten once the baby comes or whatever. To be
Some
honest.
juicy drama that I thought about. I said, "Oh, I'm evil," but I said, "Oh, let Millie have the baby." But she's still like working at IMP. Stolas is still secretariating, and Millie leaves the baby with Stolas, and then Octavia sees Stolas be a father to this baby, and she just crashes out. I
Ooh,
want that.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, I like
Starting
that. I
over,
like
I
that.
see. Starting over, I see, huh, Dad? Oh, that'd be good.
That would be
That would actually
delicious.
really be good. Oh,
Mm.
But can they commit?
I would say
Mm-mm.
is
No.
also such a strong hold in the well, it's gonna be at least 4 characters now that go and do these missions, which is Luna's gonna be included now for
Oh yeah,
certain in
Luna is
season
now a
3.
main member.
I forgot about her.
And I think you forgot Millie
Oh, people will come for you for
upholds
that one.
that.
Oh
Oh my
well.
god. Well, to be honest, I don't think that's a wrong thing to say because she has been sidelined so much in season 2 and season 1. It's like I don't I don't blame people for being like, "Oh, this right, this is a character, not fucking Gooner bait." Right.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with being Gooner bait, honestly.
Like
Gooner
this.
bait.
I don't like her as a character because she's just an
Because
asshole.
Sally Mae was Gooner bait at one point, but then the weird people who don't like the trans who tried to destroy her, and they were like, no, you forget the fandom you're in.
I do like that she's become more prominent and actually someone that Millie can call in times of distress.
Yeah.
That's nice.
It's
Trying
cute.
to
I
somewhat
like
have
it.
the character.
Oh,
Oh, I was saying, I feel like Millie, though sidelined in more of just like used to steer the male characters in a certain direction, she still has an important role in the dynamic of
Yeah.
how they do their job because she's basically the tank, the powerhouse, the person that
And the
like
wall.
actually the wall. She's the one that actually like really does the most damage. So for them to take her out, it wouldn't feel right. And
And
I
she's
hope
also
that
the
that's
emotional
not what they're gonna
sponge
do.
for
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
everyone
that
else's
too.
bullshit. Even though we're not
So
talking about ghost fuckers, I feel like ghost fuckers kind of yada yada over, oh, suddenly Millie is Blitz's best friend. Okay, but like you said, she is so pivotal that taking her out would make this foundation nearly crumble.
mhm.
How come Bestie didn't speak up in the courtroom? Why is it always Moxie that gets to be the mouthpiece?
I
it's from Jake
She's a
Boyhood.
strong silent type, okay?
she's never been a silent type.
Ooh, aren't women always accused of being yappers? Suddenly a woman quiet, and that's a problem. What happened to
I'm gonna
equality?
lose my. Being a woman is a double standard of life, as is, and
Oh
you
my
know it,
god.
Dan.
I sometimes this show is so easy to play devil's advocate for because I can see what they're trying to do, but it's like you didn't stick the landing, but I'm gonna pretend you did.
Okay, then in that case, how do you feel about like the whole cheating's not that big of a deal?
Okay, that joke was funny, but also that was some bullshit from left, right, and
Mm-hmm.
center. Because the split suddenly has morals. He doesn't want to kill the family. Oh, that's sweet. But at the same time, why are we taking the job of this homophobic Karen? Because it's not that we don't want to kill the family. We just don't want to do her job.
I mean, they've done worse for less. They tried to kill an old man who was like a capitalist.
To be fair, I think the show also has their targets have also kind of ended up being assholes. Maybe the one or two. I think somebody said, "Oh, you've killed a child." Well, the child was a dickhead. I'm like, okay, fair. But in this case, it was like, oh, they're wholesome 100%. But in that same regard, Emberlyn is innocent. What has she done to deserve death?
Yeah, just being cringe, apparently.
So the show has this tone problem. But again, I'm willing to look the other way. I've watched worse shows.
Fair, fair. I just find like there's just so much hypocrisy going on in the show. They're like, "Oh, Blitz, you were literally calling out Moxie for how he couldn't kill like seemingly wholesome
Yeah.
family, but now you can't do it yourself." Like, as far as we know, how do we not know they could
Uh,
be cannibals too?
My
apparently,
my
like,
my my biggest pet peeve with the show, again, sorry, have to take it back to Stolas, my beloved, but my biggest pet peeve is they have a story about a gay man being trapped in a sorry, what's it even called? Like hetero?
Hetero,
I
yeah,
believe I
I
don't even.
think.
Thank you. Heteronormative relationship and the horrible reality of being forced to have a child with a woman that you not only do you not like, so it's like people are saying, oh, it's basically rape. So something that's that nuance just gets yeeted out the window for, oh, he cheated, oh, his wife is bad, whereas, and yeah, oh, his daughter doesn't talk to him, where there could have been a more elaborate story. Hell, I think he even retweeted something about Stella being a teen mom, because if Stolas was forced to
Yeah.
have Octavia at 18, so did Stella.
Cause like no, cause like the difference whenever people want to bring up how like, oh, you like Valentino, but Stella defenders mean they support like mistreatment and whatnot. But the difference is with Stella, she is like, when you think about the foundation of like her background too, is in a similar situation, an arranged marriage, sold off to just give birth, and yet
But it
that
looked like, oh
like,
no, she liked the
ugh.
arrangement. Like, no, like we could have a very nuanced story here. Like, yeah, it could be a story where two people are forced to get married, and then Stolas kind of chose to find love in his daughter, but Stella decided to be vindictive and evil. But they can still come from the same place of being fucked up, but it's how they choose to move forward. That's interesting. I'm kind of looking forward to the Stella backstory episode in season 3, unironically, because I pray to God they stick that landing.
Personally, I like there was like an AU someone came up with like Stella and Stolas just like, we'll just agree to live in this house. We don't have to be like do a couple stuff. And she
Yeah.
actually like supported him on how to get with the imp, but like it came out that he was cheating and they had to keep up with the facade and it was Andronicus the
Oh, that's
brother. Yeah,
cute.
so it's like we don't have to villainize. There's situations where we don't have to villainize Stella. We can just like have her fulfill the role of what
Because
Andronicus is doing.
the show doesn't lack villains. We have a little too many villains at this point. But I
Hey,
think
remember cherubs?
the thought is there's too many male villains. We need to throw in some female villains there. Okay, there's this mother. We can toss her in. Nobody will care.
I forget about the agents and the cherubs sometimes because it's like, oh yeah, they're here too
Oh
sometimes.
yeah.
They're the goofy villains.
mhm.
Everyone in
I
this
wonder
series is
if
goofy.
Belphegor, Beelzebub. Wait. Which one is God? The names in the show. The one for Sloth. I wonder if she'll be a good
Yep.
guy or a bad guy or just
Elphegor.
neutral.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
Belphegor.
her design is so pretty, honestly.
I kind of
Oh,
felt like we were getting
oh, Elphegor.
overstuffed.
Mhm.
The show has a stimulation problem, but again, ADHD. I like it.
That's fair.
It's really funny because I took nothing from Sinsmas, like something that I liked, other than the fact that they finally introduced all the sins, and I like pushed everything else out of the way just to like hone in on the sins because that is literally all I fucking care about. That is all I care about. I don't give a
Even
fuck about
Levy,
anything else.
the
Move.
the sin of envy. I like her too. Her design too. How a half of her wants to give Maman a chance, and the other half just is not fucking with him. And I was like, oh my god, I don't know if this is my own head canon, but it's the brilliance of one side of her head envies herself. She doesn't even like the fact that she's
Ooh.
taking other people, and that side of envy that looks to be interested in Maman. I don't trust her. She just wants to steal Maman's money. Because again, envy.
But
Hmm.
yeah, I do like. I, I need her to I need her to look away from him. But I do I do I do like that idea that like the two heads of envy never can agree with each other on something because forever they're constantly clashing due to that envy in them, which I really like. And also the
Oh,
theory that the two heads are also representative of two different types of envy.
Hmm.
Ooh. What are
I
what are the two
I
types?
I hold on. I totally forget. It was I saw somebody talk about it. Give me one moment, fellas.
Okay. While you're looking that up, I just want to chime in on like Luna's actual wolf design. Uh,
Oh,
Ooh.
Ugh.
like when she turned full werewolf, that was really, I don't know. To me, that felt random. It wasn't built up.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Just so out of nowhere. Like I didn't know hellhounds had all this much magic and ability. And
I think
she bit Andrelphus right on the neck.
removed that throat. That was cool. I think the show just wanted to have a cool moment, and every now and now that Luna has a demon form, I'm like, wait. I thought she was the lowest rank of imps, but she has a human disguise. She has a demon form, but Blitz can't even disguise himself as a human. Does that mean imps also have ultimate demon forms? But the one thing I thought about when Luna turned into a full wolf was like, well, the muzzle makes sense now from Mastermind. Because people were pissed that she had a muzzle on, and I was like, well, now we know why.
Because she's a dog.
I I would say that like I don't know why people would be pissed that she had a muzzle. It makes sense why they do. Not only
Oh,
because
people
what she's
war on that. And I'm like, dudes, even if she wasn't a dog, for aesthetic purposes, because Blitz had, I don't know if people noticed this, when he was running to Stolas, there was this scene like a whip wrapped around his neck. I don't know, my ancestral bloodline jumped at that scene because that just made me go, okay, that was a little too on the nose, and it wrapped around his neck and it pulled him back. So a lot of demeaning things happened to IMP that day. It was not
It's
just the muzzle.
frankly, it's the fact that I saw more people upset about them selling merch of her muzzled, and that
yeah.
Beelzebub did not even acknowledge her being muzzled or even said something against it.
That was
Yeah.
my issue with it, is more of just the fact that they sold merch of it, and they did not sell merch of any other IMP and chains and stuff. It was purely Luna. It was purely
I
Luna
think
in her
Vic
muzzle
talked a while
and like
ago that she
collar.
just gives the rein to some things to some people. Like her merch, even her merch designs, she just like delegates it to some people. So I would 100% believe that there's a gooner in the audience that
Oh,
just
oh,
put
oh,
that there.
definitely.
Oh yeah.
No, definitely. I
Oh,
believe
this is
that
gonna
it was
die.
just. I
Hmm?
believe that the like merch that was being sold was purely because it what's the right word for it?
Fan service.
Market fan service markets towards that demographic that still follows Helluva Boss purely because they like Luna and like sexualizing her. And it was probably just because, oh, it's kind of like bondage. So that's just what we're going to go with, even though they kind of completely miss what the chains and the muzzle represent. Because, like,
Yeah,
oh
like
no.
fun
Oh no.
fact. Like fun fact.
Is my audio
Bond.
fine?
Your audio sounds fine to me.
Oh, okay, you can't hear yourself through it because I just had to change the thing. Okay, no problem.
Okay. I think there's a fine line between bondage and just straight up chains. Like there's like I don't think most people even know that there's certain BDSM ropes you're supposed to use. You just don't use any old rope.
How do you know that?
Listen, safety precautions is important to know in this world and day and age. Is all I'm saying. Yeah, know your toys.
Because,
Can't
okay, how do you feel about like, let's just jump inside with Valentino merch or people liking Valentino in general?
People can like him. I don't like him, but like people can like him. It's just when they go all off trying to justify and saying that he's hurting, he needs a hug. Like
Because there's this
this
argument that there's somebody who enjoys the sort of kink that Valentino engages in, and they feel that it's not, I don't know, moral to have that person be a staff member and write Valentino scenes. And I kind of feel like, okay, maybe that same person has a hand in Luna's stuff. I don't know. That's just a crackpot theory. Nobody take me seriously.
No, no, I feel like Valentino, with the person you're talking about, their username is like Rafi, Raf something along those lines. They do have a non-con kink, and that was like something that they've been. Not only did they direct a lot of the scenes with Valentino, they've also been in Helluva Boss with the scene where Rolando licks Blitz's neck, which people have noticed
Ew.
that was the same storyboard artist, and it's like, yeah, it's very clear Ref has a thing going on where they want to implement that kind of kink in those scenes, which is but like with Luna, I feel like it's more just a marketing direction because uh
It
no
works.
why the show is
Mm-hmm.
popular for part of it, and it is the abundance of Luna porn everywhere. I can't even go like see an NSFW artist scroll through their stuff without seeing somebody either commissioning Luna or they draw Luna like randomly one day. It's how deeply implemented that character is in the NSFW scene. It's like impossible to avoid. You will see her
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
one day you will see her.
oh, thank God I haven't come across it. God Almighty, keep that away from me. I don't know how I got that lucky.
It's just I also just feel like that's in general what they do with a lot of their female characters. They know their fan base is a bunch of fucking gooners, and they will do everything they can to market to that because they know it sells. With Valentino, that is just uh, the storyboard artist being kind of weird. Just not kind of, very weird. Uh, Something
Mm-hmm.
that Pop has not only just looked away from, but has also defended. And it's just like between them is that Luna is just there to be sexualized. Valentino, however, though sexy, I guess, quote unquote, in himself, also holds a really important and also careful kind of role that you have to look at and approach very gently. And they don't know how to do that because nothing in them is like, oh, this guy, is an abuser and a rapist. Maybe we shouldn't like have the person who thinks that's hot to
Do that.
storyboard literally
Have
what Angel Dust's abuse is going through. And Busy Pop
have
sees that
somebody
and she's like,
who's
nah.
traumatized by that animate that, not somebody who likes it. Because yeah, a lot of the scenes with Angel does, I do get the criticism that it's almost romanticized. It's still horrific, but it's I don't know. I can't put my finger on it.
The people who like that kind of kink understand to a point that what's going on is bad, but that's why they like it is the thing. They
It's the
they can
taboo.
it's taboo, and that's the thing. They will push that and understand the dynamic is bad and they will show that it is bad, but you can tell at some points of where they start to like show focus on and where they animate things or like how they frame Valentino that Raph still has an attraction towards what's going on. And that's where people kind of like are in that middle ground of, yeah, it has okay representation of the abuse that Angel Dust goes on, but you also have the background information of who made this happen.
Yeah, that's where the ick comes from. Because then you can't say, okay, don't sell merch, don't do whatever. But then is it more morally responsible to, as a show, to just okay, we know he's a bad guy, but we're just not gonna profit off it. But then again, you gotta make money. So where's the line? Where does the line get drawn? And it's just
I
not
feel
fair.
like
Like when people attack the voice actor, like that's just stupid.
no. Um it is I don't believe that Joel Perez, though I feel like he said I guess questionable things about Valentino. but more of I think he's just playing a character and trying to just get in the role of it. Hold on a second.
Just hope Stella doesn't get the Valentino treatment. I don't know. Like, I feel like they're trying to build up to a big Valentino moment with Stella to wrap things
Oh,
back to Helluva Boss. Sorry for derailing us. But if they have that moment with Stella, I'm afraid they won't be able to stick the landing.
I feel like
no. They
I
never
just
know
feel,
how to stick the landing.
I just feel like at this point, Hell of a Boss brings up interesting concepts, but it doesn't know how to handle them when trying to tackle it, or it just takes the easy route. It's not as enticing as it used to be. Season 1 was great. Season 2, I called season 1 like a beautiful mess, even with most of its flaws. It was still an enjoyable season. Season 2 is more like a hot mess.
I found
Yeah,
out that a lot of season 1 was co-written by Brandon Rogers, and a lot of season 2 doesn't include Brandon Rogers. And I'm wondering if
yeah.
that is part of the reason why season 2 feels off.
Oh
So
yeah.
Is
it's
because
Adam's fault.
Brandon, though understands how to write, because that's kind of what he's always been doing.
To
Cuz
be
like it's
fair,
so hard.
Brandon is Blitz. So the moment where you
That
have
is,
the
yeah.
person who wrote the character not there, because from what I gather, Vivzy Pop, she already had Hasbin Hotel, but she wanted to make a show with her close friend Brandon. So I think she pitched these characters that were in Hasbin that like, hey, this cast is too big. What can we do with these characters? So Hell of a Boss is half owned and created by Brandon. So when the person who made half the show is not there for a season, and then you bring in another writer, yeah, there's gonna be some growing pains. But from what I gather, Brandon is back for season 3, so things might chill out.
Personally, at this point, for some people, it feels too little, too late, because some people have been getting from like the view counts of the views each episode's been getting. People are getting burned out. People are getting frustrated. It's just not a
The
happy
core
time.
fans are still there. I don't know whose video I watched. I don't know who it was, but they were like, if you look at the Wayback Machine or whatever, the first
Mm-hmm.
day that Hell of a Boss comes out, it maintains consistent numbers, but it's after that first day. So, like, general casual fans have fluttered in and out, but the hardcore people, the ones who hardcore hate the show and hardcore love the show, they have not left. The 10 million are still there. And I don't know if that's a good or bad thing.
Those.
I'm likely never gonna
uh,
leave. This is my autism show, so
If I ever left Miraculous, nothing is gonna get me to leave this
Damn.
show.
Damn. Personally, I think I'm just gonna do one more mega mega review of the season in all my little, because I had so many little analytical videos I wanted to make on Hell of a Boss that I can't. I'm so tired and so frustrated with the show. I can't spare any more brain cells to wrap around its nonsense.
The devil advocate in me wants to say, you know what, just quit, just give up, go watch another show that you like.
I do like this show, or at least I did. And since season 3 is just gonna have more Stolitz and more Stolas front and center, I
Nope.
already don't like the episodes of season 2 where Stolas
It's
is
gonna have
like
more Millie
involved.
and Moxie. I
Well,
promise.
they should have done
You'll
that
get
in
I
your
season
miscarriage
2.
arc.
I
It is
cracked the
too.
code.
They prioritized the side character more than they did the main like 4 characters, and that's just stupid. And it's too little, too
I
fucking
Fair.
late.
To be
I
completely fair, Stolas was a side character and then he got elevated to second main character in episode 2. What did you expect?
I did.
Something good.
I cracked the code for myself
Unfortunately.
on how to stick with the show, and it's just get insanely attached to one character and then just hope that they show up again. That's what I've
Oh,
been going through.
Mammon, my beloved, and
Man,
Phaeton,
my
my beloved.
beloved. Oh my god, when
Um,
he showed up in not Sinsmas, Mastermind,
Mastermind.
everything like blacked out. Everything black. I was out. Everything was
I
focused on,
didn't know
there he
Maman
is,
had
there he
this
is.
much of a diehard fans. Well, now his merch makes sense. Oh, wait. Were you guys there when they did like merch of him, like when everyone was getting sexy pinups, but they showed him in
Yeah.
a full suit, and people were like,
I
I
"Why aren't you
watched
showing his skin?"
I
And
was
I
the
so
watched
artist
upset
said
the
that,
about
"Oh,
that.
yeah." They were like, the artist was like, "Yeah, Maman doesn't like showing skin, but he still wants to be sexy," and people had a problem with that.
So what? And Luna doesn't always dress sexy like that in the show, but y'all still do pinups of her. Like, what are we doing here? Barbie.
And
the
sometimes
argument.
I don't understand criticism. There's valid criticism of the show, but the haters make it very hard to do that.
I
Yeah.
think the criticism was, well, I can understand that like he does not want to show skin. Like looking behind me at literally every piece of Mammon merch I could get my hands on, um, I shrine a little bit. Um, he he does not like showing skin, which I can, well, except in the swimsuit, he did show his thighs and his arms, but that's like the closest we've gotten.
Mhm.
Um, but I think the criticism was more of, because of the track record that Vivzy Pop has with her plus size characters being either somebody that's undesirable or evil, people were afraid that the direction that they were going with Mammon being in the Valentine's merch was because they were afraid to actually make him more sexualized compared to the other characters. Not because of a character standpoint of like what he likes to do and who he is. It's just more of how Vivzy Pop views fat people.
From what I
And
can
that's
Exactly.
gather,
what
she
people
wasn't even
were
the one
afraid
that
of.
drew it. She had a plus size artist draw the art, and the person who drew the art felt so connected to it for the fandom to rip it apart. It was so heartbreaking to watch.
Yeah, that
No,
was a
yeah, I
fair.
agree with that. I think that like the character, no matter what they do with him, I will always be attracted to him. But
Mhm.
Oh my god, the sexy Christmas tree.
yes, yes, this is my guy. Look at
And
him.
don't even
He's
get me
beautiful.
started on the weirdos who were offended at Sally Mae's bump. I'm like, y'all will literally look for anything.
I think that was very, especially as Sally Mae's voice actress even expressed that it was okay to do. I think that's just also good representation for trans folks who have, like, are comfortable with what body they have or whatever they will with their body.
One thing I
From
noticed
my
is that Viv will give characters to people who either look that way, act that way, or have that body type, and then you own that character. Like at this point, I think Vivzy Pop cannot do something with Sally Mae without the voice actress's express permission, which I find wild, but it will also, yes, go off. But people will have a problem with that and then blame Viv, and it's like, no, it's it's
I do find
hard
it
being a defender of this show, honestly.
I do find
um
it just annoying too. Like, even when I have critical posts or critical videos, I hate it when people use like critical stuff as a way to like shit on Viv, and I'm like, I don't even say her name. Jesus Christ, y'all making me look bad.
with
Or
the
hell, right now I'm being painted as a hater because of my Octavia criticism, and I'm like, do you know me?
Yeah,
nobody is safe in this fandom, no matter how a diehard fan you are. If you show an ounce of like negativity towards the show, not even out of just like spite or because you just like uh whatever the case may be, doesn't matter. The fandom will hunt you down and try to fucking
The lovers will, the people who love it will have your head on a spike. The people who hate it will start treating you like the Messiah. Like, no, I am not one of you. Go away.
um but I
it's like
wanted
you
to
don't.
go back to the Sally Mae thing real quick.
Mhm.
I From my understanding of it from the perspective of other trans women who looked at the merch itself, because there are some trans women that do not like it because at the time of when that
Mhm.
merch was being made, the only thing we knew about Sally Mae was through Harvest Moon, which was just few tidbits, a line, and the implication that she was trans. And she became prominently, very heavily a part of the merch that came out like every other month, even though we knew nothing about her. And a
Yeah.
lot of the
Okay,
merch
valid,
was
valid.
because it was, to a lot of people, very sexualizing. And it's not even because that people did not support the fact that trans women can be sexy and they do not have to tuck to be sexy. It was just at around the time, it felt very weird about why they were marketing her specifically. And a lot of people felt like it was catering to another weird gooner section of the fandom.
Okay, I can actually kind of see and respect that because yeah, we know nothing about this character, but here you are showing them in this way. But now, after like 2 years, I feel like okay, why are we still arguing about the merchandise? Like, come
Now
on,
that
if you're not gonna
Sally
play, shut
Mae
up.
now that Sally Mae has started to develop herself as a character and um that we can understand her outside of just that one shot of her in Harvest Moon, I can understand now that like the merch itself is not inherently like bad and that it can be respected that this character now wants attention because we have something to work off of.
That
True.
and like we could say the same for like Barbie Wire. Came out of nowhere, gets mentioned one or two times or used to guilt Blitz, gets hecka merch. Who is she?
Yeah, she's just kind of there.
This is the
She's
main
a bit
character's
more.
twin sister, and we know more about his relationship with his friend, who may or may, who probably not related, but adopted friend. Fizz, like,
Adopted brother.
come on, I've always wanted a brother.
The thing is, this show suffers from something that I see happen on in Webtoon a lot. Sorry if I'm jumping around, but Webtoon has this thing where, especially with the Canvas stories, not the originals. If you're not on Webtoon, you don't understand. But the author would like, okay, you're starting out the story, but they will draw the main characters in these cute moments, but the story is not there yet. But the author just can't help themselves because they probably know this is going to be a slow burn or the main characters won't get together until the last three chapters. So this show wants to show us the cute moments or it wants to show us fan art of their characters, but it's like we don't know them yet. Why are you giving us the icing before the cake?
100% what the fault of the show is that Vizzy Pop is insanely impatient. She wants
No
to get to the
impulse
good
control.
stuff. No impulse control. She wants to get to the good stuff as soon as possible. She does not have a good idea of build up. And though the season has like progressed pretty, I would say, a lot with how we've gotten to this point, it still feels like that there are things that are missing, things that needed to be done before we got to this point. But she doesn't want to hone in on the small stuff that basically are like the stones that build up to this point. I feel like her tower of building up to the climax of things is like a really, really poorly built Jenga tower that's built off of like one block at a time. Not the
The thing is,
foundations that build each other up, just like one block and they're like
for
ready to fall over.
for a creator who constantly gets accused of writing fan fiction, you can tell she never wrote fan fiction before because a fan
No,
fiction
yeah.
writer will make their audience sweat. We do not show you mercy. We do not give you crumbs. You will cry before you see your pair happy. And that's something that Vivzipop has not learned yet.
I just think she doesn't have enough writing experience. Like that, it's so hard looking at Hell of Lost because like visually, it's amazing. It's gotten the animation, the art. It's gotten so much
I
better.
wish,
Like
yeah, I wish she
every
delegated the writing to people who
yeah.
actually knew how to do it. But again, I don't blame her. You have to learn from somewhere.
The thing is that
Wish
I
she
would
was just
respect
humble about it, honestly.
that too, but I would also kind of more respect that like throughout season one, it was her developing those skills into season two. But from what I can tell from season two, especially since she had a more prominent role with another writer, which was Adam in that season, it kind of shows that she's also heavily depends on other people to make that writing work better. And
Um,
also,
no,
I
finish.
do not believe she's developed a lot of skills to begin with as much as she's written now. Because it's like, there's still so many fucking problems, and it doesn't feel like anything has necessarily improved unless it's small stuff.
Or maybe she could just be using Helluva Boss as her practice for Has-Been Hotel.
I
Husband's a
don't know.
whole other can of
I-
worms.
Has-Been Hotel is. I don't even know if we want to touch on Has-Been Hotel except like
Helluva
when we
Nope.
Boss
mentioned
is just her
Valentino.
practicing her writing so
Nope,
she
nope,
can be
nope.
better at Has-Been Hotel. That's the theory.
I'd say like season 1 of Helva was better than season 1 of Has Been, but we'll see how Has Been season 2 goes about. But we've been going a little bit over an hour now. Is there any like final thoughts you guys want to get out?
Yo, I've already derailed this thing 5 times. I'm Gucci.
Yeah.
Mammon is the best character. That's all.
I loved
Oh
Satan.
yes, you will be free. I promise. The bad parts are over. You are safe now. Well, you have nothing, but at least you're safe. And you're loved. Better than how you were with your horrible wife and your ungrateful daughter. Those are my final words.
Bruh.
God.
I need to get the comments in a frenzy somehow.
Thanks for that.
Good. So there is going to be another season after what we just had.
Yep,
Question-
with 15 episodes apparently.
Oh God.
15?
Yeah,
Oh
from
my
what I heard.
god. Holy
Jesus.
fuck.
I'm
Hey,
happy.
I'm glad. You know what? For those either choosing to move forward or like breaking free from the show, whatever makes you happy. Because like, even like even for a show you like to like nitpick. I like nitpicking the show. It was fun to nitpick at a certain point, but now it's
Same.
just I feel miserable. It's no fun
How would
anymore.
you rate it over 10?
Oh, I'm still having fun.
I'm glad you're still having fun, Muffin. I'm glad you are.
I will have. This is, like I said, my autism show, in both the fact that I like it for certain things, but I also just like, I genuinely have felt like that my special interest in this show is the nitpicking part. So I've just never stopped deriving joy from it. The only time it was like close, me being like, I give up, was actually Unhappy Campers. And then Mammon showed up like the next episode, and I was like, wait, guys, never mind. I'm good now.
My beloved is here. Unfortunately,
My
even
beloved
Viv is
is here.
obsessed with Mammon, so that demon just has his claws in you.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck. Give it to
So
me.
you'd
Give it to
rate
me.
Mastermind a 10 out of 10 just for Mammon.
Yes.
Mammon was great. He was the highlight.
I don't give a fuck about anything else.
But
uh,
Artis, what would you rate the finale as out of 10?
out of 10. I still need to think about it, honestly. I want to give it somewhere below like a 4 or 2.
Oh, I thought you were gonna go with 3. So, Muffin, what about you?
4.
And Hot Legs?
I was gonna be generous and give it like a 7, but I don't know. I think it's because like
Well,
the animation stuff is really nice to look at, but the story is all over the fucking place, and I hate it.
Yep.
I'm,
yeah, nobody
And
can
I'm
argue
just
the
glad
animation.
I'm just glad we hopefully won't have to be stringing along Blitz and Stolas being a thing or not. In the next season, I'll lose my goddamn mind if like all like 14 episodes is still about that. I'm gonna lose my shit.
same. I'm just
I'm a,
glad we were here for the ride and not the journey. But I'm gonna cut off the recording there. Thank you guys for joining me for this again. I don't know if I'm personally don't know if I'm ever gonna keep doing these or if the audience wants to hear them. I still want to keep watching the shorts personally, but we'll see where it goes from there.
God.
That's fair. And we'll start off the new year with a new light.